Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
People see D ramp?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Do I
Yep.
need to shrink it or does it automatically scale to everybody's screen?
It's
It looks good to me.
Yeah, looks
it's
good.
it's a
Okay.
full page, web page.
All right.
Mhm.
So yeah, just downloads, floppy drives, Pertec, and then Pertec schematics. And you'll see there's a whole bunch here, but they all start with 600. So what you saw on that drive was, I forget what, 600, 250, one?
Or 251, I think it
Yeah,
was.
so that's the schematic, that's the board. So here's, when you click on these drawings, you'll instantly see a board that should look like the one you were just looking at.
Yeah.
So that's how you find where to start here. And then the drawing will tell you what the schematic is, but the schematic is always just one less. See down somewhere in here, it tells you what the schematic is. Yeah, well, anyway, it's trivial. So if you're on a 261, the schematic is the 260. If you're on a 251, the schematic's the 250. Keep in
Okay.
mind, the board that's, I mean, the drive that's in the unit I was having a problem with is actually this 260 that you see here. And it's got a, an IDC header as its connector. But that's not it either. No, it's 266. There we go. That's it. Because I remember it had a circle opening over that hub, and then it had this thing stuck out. All right, so this was my drive. This is how you'll have to get your U numbers and everything because they're not on the silk screen. And then you find your test points and everything here on the schematics. Anyway, so the bottom line is I wasn't able to write to this disk. What I determined is it would work for the first 2 or 3 minutes and then just stop working. And that was pretty consistent. I'd have to let it cool off and then it would work again. That's never a good sign, but usually those are easy to find. So anyway, so the 266 drive would be this 265 schematic. Now, when I interrogated the drive just through a monitor, ROM monitor, I found that the drive itself was asserting write protect all the way back to the host computer. So the drive thinks it's in write protect, which would then explain why it's not writing. None of the software I was using actually looks at write protect. That's why I didn't know that's what was happening until I dug in. So anyway, up here you see the index sensor. That's the index sensor for the index holes. And then down here is the write protect sensor.
Yeah.
So this is the sensor that was the little slotted sensor, and here it gives you the wire colors, comes to that connector I showed you. So this is the connector, this is the board part, and now we're on to the board. So obviously the issue is that it thinks there's no disk there, or I mean, it thinks the write protect notch is open. That's how it is on an 8-inch drive. It's the opposite of 5 1/4. So on an 8-inch drive, if the light can see through, then you're write protected. So here's the emitter, here's the detector. So if this emitter is activating this detector, that means this is on, which means it's seeing this 5-volt rail is getting pulled up right to here. So you'll see 5 volts here or something slightly less than 5 volts, and that goes into this 1458 comparator. So if you do the math here on the minus side with 47K and 10K from 5 volts, this threshold is about 0.88. If this was blocked or off, then this should just be pulled down to ground, right? I mean, this should look like an open circuit for the most part if there's no light hitting this transistor. This emitter shouldn't look like anything for the most part. So this 8.2 should be pulling this plus input down to ground. So this should be ground relative to the 0.88 volt threshold forever. But it's not. If you sit there and watch it on a scope, this line just slowly goes up over time. I just watch it go up and up and up and up, just very slowly. And eventually it crosses 0.88, at which point my system doesn't work anymore, right? It might take a minute or two. And then it actually just kept going up. So this transistor, phototransistor, has basically failed. This is all one unit. I wasn't in the mood of finding out exactly what it is and what its characteristics were and all that. I just wanted to get back to work. So the easiest way to get back to work would be to disconnect 6, right? Then this is pulled down and your drive is permanently not write protected.
Yeah.
So that's what I did to keep going, is in that the connector that went on the card edge connector, I just pulled out pin 6. Therefore, this is getting pulled down to ground, and now pin 5 stays lower than 6 forever. My write protect's not working. I never use write protect anyway, so I don't care for now. Knowing me, I'll probably never fix it. I need to put a note on the drive so I know that. But
Yeah.
the other thing would be to go out and find out what the characteristics of this little slotted optocoupler is. It's probably pretty generic from the day. They have their part numbers, but nowhere is there a good data sheet that translate those into standard market numbers. Anyway, and that fixed it. I didn't suspect the 1458 because the other half of that is this one for the index sensor, which was still working. So I wasn't going to go, and it's not socketed. So I wasn't going to go pull the 1458 first. It was much easier just to pull this wire. I mean, there's a slight possibility that the input here was somehow generating an output voltage, but extremely unlikely, right? So for this to be crawling up on its own, it pretty much had to be this thing has just failed. I've never seen that kind of failure mode. But anyway, so that was it, and it all worked. That's how you'd find a Pertec drive schematic, and you'll run into a large variety of those. This is not, it's not like you just see one of these. Even on the Altair drives, several of these first ones could be part of it, because there were several different ones that were in the original Altair cabinets as well. So
would it be interesting to try out putting a resistor in line with that pin 4 and lowering the current a little bit and see if the transistor doesn't on its own self-heat enough to drift?
see, what was I?
If you don't want to do anything else, other than just pulling pins. So if you go back to your sensor there. So what happens if you put if you were to put a resistor in line, pull out pin 4 on the either side and put a resistor in that place and see if the self-heating of the transistor will pretty much go away, but still be able to work, when the
Well, so the question is, why would it have heated itself at all when it was not conducting current, because there's no photons hitting the base?
well, the light shines on it permanently, right? So there's always something there.
Well, no, it's this. The problem is when it's blocked.
When it's blocked, okay.
Yeah, your disk is in there and it's blocked, at which
Okay.
point it should not turn on at all, and this point should just stay ground.
Yeah.
So with this blocked, granted, there's always leakage of some sort around it, right?
Yes.
But yeah, it definitely started off like it should. And this point was very, very close to ground like it should be, but this just slowly trickled up like a capacitor through a 10 meg resistor or something.
And the resistor's okay, R98?
Yes.
Okay.
R98 was the proper resistance still.
Well, that's, the only thing I could think of was the transistor is slowly self-heating and leaking a little bit. And maybe
Right,
that's
fairly substantial leak. It's got to be on the order of, well, do the math, what? Tens to hundreds of microamps?
Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking, could you salvage this by some simple means rather than, just.
I was going to say that would slow it down a lot, but then again, for a Pertec sensor, that's probably not critical, like an index sensor, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how much was going through it to begin with so that it even generated heat. Obviously, there's some failure mechanism in there that's allowing charge to flow across the holes in the carriers.
Yes.
Don't know enough about how that works on the inside to wager further guesses. Probably wouldn't be hard to find one. My guess is that I might have to tweak this R112.
Yeah, for the diode.
Just to make it work with whatever I find.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if you completely took out R112 to see if it still drifted off without that LED being on there at all.
But yeah, that's true. If it was completely off, then it'd be ambient light.
Right.
Well, no, I'm just wondering if the light is just unusually bright. The LED is getting hot and it's slowly conducting over to the transistor because
Yeah,
they're
again,
a long ways away though. That's the thing.
yeah, and it's going through the disk. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm thinking about the housing itself, but
yeah,
I guess they're far enough apart that unless that diode got really hot, um, it'd take a long time for it to conduct or may not conduct at all because I think the back of that sensor is screwed to an aluminum plate, right?
yeah. It's on an aluminum plate, so that's a big old heat sink.
Yeah.
Dumb question. You don't have light showing onto that section of the floppy drive from anything else, do you?
Oh no, this was all failing while it was inside and dark, fully
Okay.
enclosed. Yeah.
Because I've had that happen one time, and I think it was on a 5 1/4 where there was too much light in the room, and it actually triggered one of the two sensors.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I've seen electronic devices where I had to put a piece of cardboard over the top when I was working on it just to keep ambient light away from a lot of
Makes sense.
things.
Yeah, so someday I'll find that actually I have donor drives I could pull one from now that I think of it, but so the drives that went in the Altairs rarely had this installed. The Altair software doesn't even support it. Actually, neither does their disk controller. So the Altair disk controller doesn't pick up the write protect signal to give it to software anyway. And then a lot of the early drive cabinets, the FD400 that was in them did not have this part installed. So I was thinking I probably didn't have them in any of my donor drives, but I was just pulling out donor drives today so I could show you that circuit board labeling. And I found that part on a couple of them. So yeah, now that I know I have them, I can easily replace that. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Well, every time I take this stuff apart, I'm afraid I'm breaking the connections in the cabinet.
Yeah.
Just a sticky note in there saying that you did it. So when you open it up in 4 years, 5 years, you'll
Yeah.
remember what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, my biggest problem with 8-inch drives is I forget to cover the notch, and I'm sitting there for a day trying to figure out why the drive doesn't work and realize, oh, wait a minute, this is a new disc. I didn't cover the
yeah.
notch. So it'd be nice if it didn't have to worry about it. All right, well, that was it.
No, that's cool. Thanks for sharing, man.
Well, and then after I get that fixed, the other drive, I was finishing everything up for finally doing another video, but it appears to have issues writing to the lowest track numbers. And I've never had any problem with it before. And if I run it under CPM, it doesn't. But the only way I can write to low track numbers on CPM is to do a move CPM, well, to do a sysgen.
Yeah.
And those never fail. But that doesn't necessarily use every sector, right? I mean, you're although on the 3740 standard, it barely fit a small CPM. So yeah, it probably is using almost every sector in the first two tracks. So anyway, those never failed. And yet I can turn around to something else and it keeps failing. But if I do it on other drives, it doesn't fail. So I don't believe it's software. So anyway, head scratching.
Drive alignment, or it was written with a little bit off. It only works on some. That's
Yeah,
a real problem. You get a few drives that are slowly drifting, and eventually your stack of 8-inch drives are questionable.
right.
Which drive will it fit in, and which will read, things like that.
That's true. For the hard sector, the alignment is insanely critical. For the soft sector, even the Pertecs, I've never paid that much attention after my first alignment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that very well could be as notorious as these things are for going out of alignment compared to a Shugart. That even though it's soft sector, that may be far enough off now that it's problematic. So yeah,
So
that's true. I should go revisit that.
Yeah, probably need to read all those drives again. At least the ones, whatever matches up to the disk, read them off and put them on something before you attempt to align. Because once you got them aligned, now they may not read again.
Oh yeah, everything's on the computer. I mean, I destroyed disks left and right, and then just PC to flop them again. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that drive can't even format. So the FD360, the FD3712 can't format. So I have to format it on some Shugart drives on another machine. Those drives I know are aligned pretty well. So yeah, that could be part of it. I mean, the reads tend to be fine, but the writes, when you're out of alignment, the writes can actually end up clobbering the sector IDs because they screw up the gaps. And then you can't write to your disk at all. You go back and find out if I reformat it, then it works again. And that's because of a misaligned drive turning those gaps around from the read of the ID to the write. It's then screwing up the gap right before the data portion. So yeah, that could be what's happening to these. Yeah, so yeah, I need to revisit alignment. It's impossible to align it in this cabinet. I can't remember what I did to align these in the past. I'll have to go find that hardware. The Altair cabinets, I can put a board across them and pop the drive up on its side. There's enough cable slack. But this particular drive uses different power than the Altair ones. And yeah, there's no slack. I think I built some cheater cords. I need to go find those. All right, well, that's the end of the Pertec fun. Does anybody even have any Pertec drives? Todd?
Not here. Tandon and Shugart.
No.
100% Shugart here
Yeah, Shugart's the easiest.
for 8-inch.
Just need a little bit more work, but yeah, these Pertecs suck.
I've had problems with some of my tandons writing to some of the higher tracks, and I'm not sure if it's an alignment issue or not. They actually have one of the track greater than 43
Right.
input to it, and but I played with that a little bit, and I haven't had a lot of success with that yet. But
Top surface or bottom?
it's a good question. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and review it. I haven't played with them for a while.
I know on the 5 1/4, the top is actually inset even further than the bottom. So it tends to be the worst on the highest tracks, but I don't remember on the 8-inch.
Okay. Yeah, and I was working with a bunch of floppies that may have been questionable as well because they were all, once I'd get up to track around, track in the 60s, upper 60s or so, I'd usually start seeing some verified failures.
What brand?
Tandon. They're
I mean the floppy drive, the discs.
Oh, the discs. These, what were these? I don't recall what those were. I think they were kind of an off-brand. That's why I was kind of suspicious of them.
Yeah, for the most part, I've had really good luck with 8-inch media other than Wabash, which are terrible.
Okay.
And then, yeah, if it was a no name, I'd have no idea how it would be.
Yeah, they were.
Most of my discs are Wabash.
Oh, no.
I think they were Nashua, if I remember.
Yeah, those usually aren't bad.
Yeah.
Although I haven't dealt with those except 5 1/4, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and in some of those, you use them, you then have to go clean your heads or they'll destroy good drives too.
Yep.
The Wabash, I've run into separate batches, just love to shed their coating. And then the head has it, and then it ruins a good drive.
Yeah.
Although on an 8-inch, it's very easy to clean.
Yeah.
It's wide open, you just stick your Q-tip and alcohol in there.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I think here's another one that struck the AccuTrack.
That sounds like a tire.
Yeah.
That was one of my competitors back in the late 80s for my timers. AccuTrack.
Oh, AccuTrack, yeah.
Yeah, so these I struggled with, so I don't know. I was testing a bunch of them to see if they're any good, but
Yeah, just make sure you check your heads after that.
I have to clean them regularly.
On an 800, you can see it on there. Yeah.
Right. That's the problem with the 848s. They're dual sided, and the one side is really hard to get to.
Oh, those are hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the 5 1/4, that little chiclet head on the top is difficult because you always feel like you're tugging it when you're trying to be very careful. You still end up feeling like you're catching the corner of it.
Okay.
I found this, and I'm
Floppy
not
seed.
sure where I found it. It's been years, but Floppy Clean.
Disposable drive cleaning system.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah, the nice thing about 8-inch is they're so easy to get to. You can just use Q-tip and alcohol. The 5
Yeah.
1/4, especially later on, got hard to get to, and those kind of things. I have to admit, and I was a lazy man. That's what I did in those days on the 5 1/4.
Yeah.
The mineral spirits in that cleaning solution is probably 3/4 evaporated by now, even though it's all sealed.
Well, I have a 5 1/4 cleaning package that I bought a couple years ago on eBay, and it turned out all the liquid was gone.
Yeah,
It
it's
evaporated.
never been opened. Yeah,
So I just used the disc itself and put a little bit of alcohol on it,
yeah.
rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, the good thing is with those nice white heads on the shoe guard, it's very easy to see the oxide. Or if you rub your Q-tip on it and see it on that, then you know it was really bad.
Yeah.
Well, those tandons have a bad reputation on the heads, especially I think on the front. I guess it would be the front side. The heads are just suspended by a little kind of I don't know, like a brass spring type thing, and there's problems if the disc is ejected too quickly before the heads are completely unloaded. You can completely rip the heads right off
Oh man,
the thing.
I
I've
have
got
that
one
problem
drive.
with the replacement heads or pads I put on my shoe guards.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I insert them without making sure that door is wide open, then yeah, I'll rip my own pads off. My
yeah,
replacement ones I make are a little deeper than the originals.
yeah. Yeah, I've got one drive with the head that's completely ripped off of it because it was that somehow the disc snagged it on the way out of the drive and the
Yeah.
head wasn't completely unloaded. And there's no way to replace them. I mean, they're
Well, you can't make it
they're
one-sided easily either, can you?
probably not. And I think the problem is this is on the side that would be for your one-sided that you'd use for
Oh no, the
one-sided.
bottom? Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Donor drive at that point.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
For other parts at least.
Yeah, I guess if I'm going to take this thing out and realign it, I might as well put in the optical sensor from the donor drive.
Yeah.
Everything working.
Although that's a different drive. The one that I should just align them both anyway. It's a dual drive cabinet. The second drive is the one that had the right Pertec problem. The first drive is the one that I'm having problems on the lower tracks, but I should realign both of them anyway.
I've got my portable 8-inch floppy drive here.
There you go.
Nice.
That's a tandem half height.
Yeah, nice and low profile.
That'll fit in your backpack.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
you
put
could
it
take
in here
three.
with a grease
That's heavy.
weasel.
That's heavy enough. You could take 3 rocks out of your backpack.
So
Yeah,
how
the
do I
nice thing
get
is
pod to show
it
up?
doesn't need AC, so it just has the +5 and +24. And I was able to. I got a grease weasel in here, so I can just hook and I also have the 32-pin connector, so I can use it externally or as a grease weasel.
Well, that's
Not-
really quite different than my 10 half height.
This is an 848.
Huh.
They have another version with a different board on it. This is the discrete one. I think they have one with LSI logic on it as well.
Yeah, mine's totally different. It doesn't have that lever mechanism. It's more like the shoe guard where it's a center drive, you push it and the thing pops up.
Oh, okay. Right. I made this case. I designed this case on Fusion 360
Oh, nice.
using their sheet metal fab stuff, and I actually sent it out and had it done at Send Cut Send, and worked out really well. I mean, it's a very simple clamshell case,
Nice.
but
So how much does it cost to do a one of like that?
I think I think this one cost me about $90, $80 or $90 for a one-off,
Oh, that's nothing.
and I
Is that
could have got like
painted?
a second one for like half the price of that.
Was that painted or you painted it?
No, I painted it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it all comes all, form that was cut, stamped.
Did they press
All
PEM
the,
nuts for you, or
what's that?
did they press in PEM nuts for you?
No, I did that on my own, but you can have that done.
Yeah.
So I pressed those in. They did all the slotting on the front and the back.
Yeah.
I've got all the connectors and all the.
I never dreamed you could do it that cheap. Post what you
Yeah.
used.
So it was actually quite well. They did all the bending and everything. So I just had to
Nice.
do put the riv nuts in here for the mounting, and I got most of it right. I think I had to enlarge one of the holes a little bit for one of my connectors, but even the front end worked out pretty good too.
No, it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I thought it was professional, like something off the shelf kind of thing. So that looks
Well,
great.
I looked for a long time for like an enclosure I could put an 8-inch drive in with a grease weasel, and
Well, I
Yeah.
had that
finally,
exact enclosure for full height
oh yeah,
for a single. I ended up selling it a number of years ago. So yeah, I thought that was just vintage.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, post a link as to who does one-offs like that.
that's
And I've worked with
Send
a
Cut
metal
Send.
company for decades, but yeah, they wouldn't be interested in doing one for any sort of reasonable price.
Most cities have water jet cutters in their machine shops, so they can make a panel like that pretty cheap.
Hmm. So, yeah, I'll put up a dumb question. IMSAI front panel. Why did they put all those chips underneath all those switches? So essentially I have a front panel that don't think it was cared for. It was essentially came with a bundle of other stuff, and after reseating all the upper switches, everything just a lot of things started working. I'm actually able to load a monitor from the front panel, but I can't reseat the bottom switch at all. Everything's socketed. I can't reseat the bottom chips because the switches are sitting on top of them. And the only way I can look at it is, do you actually have to desolder all those switches to get to those
Don't
ICs?
just pop off the plastic paddle, and then you should be able to get to them.
It's got a big metal. It's got a big metal
That
plate.
bezel, yeah, that bezel unbolts too.
No, it's not. It's not a bezel. The actual switches on the on this is a vintage MSI. So the actual switches have big metal tabs on the top and bottom. Is the way I guess the way the thing. Essentially, the switches themselves, the paddles themselves are not the problem. It's the metal on the top and the bottom of them.
The mounting brackets.
Thank you. I didn't know how to word that. Thank you, Terry. And I'm sitting here and I can get in there and I can pry them up and not even an eighth of an inch, just enough to get them up and go back in, and it fixed a couple of them. But I have a few of them I think I really need to pull because a few of them I pulled, there was black stuff on some of the pins, so I'm not sure, what this board has been through.
Let me guess, they were TI parts.
Yeah, there's carnage.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, I have deoxit and stuff, and I thought about trying to prime
stuff
up.
Really isn't. So the first one I saw and did that on was an Ultra 8800B, and gobs of that stuff. Really, what fixed it was just reseating, like you've done.
Yeah,
the black stuff itself isn't nearly the problem that it looked like it was. But yeah, it's very disconcerting seeing all that black stuff.
Yeah. I had a lot of that in the Sol 20. That ended up being the biggest problem was the corrosion on the pin sockets and the black stuff.
Yeah.
Once I got to where I was I'd take a chip out one by one and clean them and then put them back in, and things started working.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just trying to. I don't want to start desoldering, paddles that have been there for 40, 50 years,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
So I,
So
I wish I could help you. I have an
yeah,
IMSAI. I've yet to take it apart. I've had it for 5 years on a to-do list. So
yeah,
yeah, I've never actually. I've heard taking the front panel apart, putting it all back together is a pain in the neck.
yeah.
But I haven't done it yet.
Has anybody
Todd's
tried
got one behind him there.
has anybody tried
Yeah.
using silver cleaner to clean the pins on chips? Because a lot of the old chips were made with silver coating on the pins.
Yeah, those turn black pretty easily.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just wondering if silver cleaner might clean them better than dioxide.
Yeah, actually, at this point, I only did dioxide on one or two that were I thought really dirty. The rest of them I just reseeded, as Mike
Yeah,
mentioned, and
if you
it,
pull them and reseed them a few times, that tends to
yeah,
be enough to make that work. The black doesn't look good,
yeah.
but it's not as big a insulation barrier as you might think it is, as bad as it looks.
It's just those ones, and the reason. So I actually have two front panels because they're two separate systems. One that came with it originally, and then there was another system that the board I'm using now, which came with a lot of stuff, another lot as in multiple systems that I bought from some guy. Met him down in Massachusetts and picked it up. It was a CompuPro chassis and the IMSAI chassis. So the original board that came with that system, everything's soldered right to the board. But even then, even if I desoldered, some of those chips, which are, essentially I'm getting random bits on and stuff like that. I don't, I'm thinking there's bad chips. I have to research that more. But this one was a lot easier. Oh, great. They're just socketed. I'll just pop them. I can replace the chips if they're bad, kind of thing. And, it's just behind those switches, it's a pain. So I'll have to. I think I'm going to see. I can get them up maybe an eighth of an inch or 16. I just get them up the move and then reseat them. I'm just going to keep doing that a few times and hopefully there's not a bad one. Because if it's a bad chip, I don't. I think I'd have to either remove the paddle or see if I can bend the top metal tab out of the way, remove the paddle off of it, and bend the tab up. And I don't know if that's what that would do with it.
Well,
To
you're
the
making me
system.
look forward to that front panel even more than I was.
I don't take my again. I have lack of experience here, so
Back to another back burner. Well,
yeah,
the reason it keeps getting pushed back is because there's just nothing about the inside that's going to be, man, I've never seen this before. I've never tried this before.
yeah, yeah,
In fact, I probably end up running Altair software on it. I mean, short of
I
getting that miserable two-board disk controller and CDC drives and seats, finding a copy
yeah.
of TPM1 or whatever they called theirs, MDOS,
Yeah, I think so.
IMDOS.
I am DOS.
I don't think that's readily available out there.
Yeah. Now, actually, most of the boards in there are either boards that I built or boards you built, Mike.
Yeah, a
Honestly,
lot of IMSAIs
I,
are very generic in the end. A lot of
yeah,
Altairs ended up that way too, of
yeah,
course. But
yeah. But for me, it's just trying to get the system working. It was one my brother had it, and when he moved up to live with us, it was one of the few units. I didn't realize what I left down in his garage when he abandoned. It says he abandoned when he sold his house and the contents in the garage. There were systems there, Vaxes and decks, and I found out later there was an Apple Lisa sitting in there that we didn't take. I'm feeling like an idiot. We left a lot of really cool systems there. It was a loss. So.
just to
I'm
pay
sure
his
somebody
own
took it.
private vax, huh?
Yeah, my brother, single guy, so he was a collector, and there was nobody holding him back. So he had his collection of stuff, So, but this is a unit. He said, "Yeah, you can have. I got one of those. Don't worry about it. I'll bring it up." So I went down to help him move, and I made sure it was packed up safely and moved it up. Um, again, it was one of the first vintage system I owned, or that he gave me. The rest of them were ones that 8800C was the one I built, and then a few other motherboards I built and stuff. And then I finally picked up that Kremenko back a bit. So
I need to do my IMSAI someday. I need
they are
somebody
cool
else who's
looking.
doing it at the same time. That way we can share stories.
Yeah, yeah, they're cool. Again, I have a second one, and I have one of those. The second one, so that second one when I got it, it came with a MSI front panel, but it also came with a Wamco front
Wamco, yeah.
panel.
Wamco drive?
Thank you. Yeah, Wamco front panel. So it's got the number.
Oh.
It's got the things that actually powers on, and its display is working. But I didn't play with it much more than that because I really want this first system to be, I'll call it retro, vintage, as much as I can. And I do have another chassis to throw that board in. Again, before I retire, I've been buying a lot of stuff, so I have stuff to play with.
Yeah, I just put my IMSAI back together. I had the front panel off, and I was doing a lot of measurements to try to get that plexiglass lined up properly.
Yeah.
And so I just got to put it all back together.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Is it working good?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
the last time I tried it, it was working good.
Yeah.
With these computers, you can never tell anymore.
No, that's the whole problem. Yeah, just I actually want to do something with it. Now it's time for me to break.
yeah, it's
Actually, I turned it on this past week just to test the one of the 800 SA800 drives, and the drive worked fine. So
cool.
Those things are amazing. I'll brag about those 800s. That's just amazing to me. I don't think I've ever had to go back and fix one after I fixed them. And the original fix is usually nothing more than getting the dust and dirt off of it, making sure everything moves freely again. I mean, damn good job on those 8-inch drives.
Yeah.
I put a link in the chat for Send Cut Send. That's
Oh, good.
a place
Yeah.
I
I'm
use
gonna go save that.
Thank
for
you.
the metal fabrication stuff.
So
Thank you.
for doing
Well, where are
prototypes
they
or anything
located?
else?
Yeah, I don't even know where they're at. I just used them online, but you can do either sheet metal stuff. I've only used them twice. I used them once. I had some 1/4-inch carbon steel that I had to have some brackets and stuff cut for me. But this is just basically you do the CAD file, you send them the CAD file for cutting and another file for bending that come right out of Fusion 360, and upload them, and you can just basically upload your design. They'll show you what it looks like, and they'll give you a quote on it.
So
right
it's
online.
proudly made in Reno, Nevada, Paris, Kentucky, and Arlington, Texas is what
Yeah,
it's showing.
right. Yeah, they have different facilities.
Yeah, that's cool. Wonder if my
Yeah,
place deals with them.
They got an amazing amount of product that you can get if you want, whether laser cutter, water jet cutting, any types of material you want, from metals, plastics, virtually anything. If you need them, if you want 1/2-inch steel plate cut and bent, they can do that.
Well, they're going to upcharge me because I'm going to give them a old-fashioned flat AutoCAD drawing, not a nice. I've never done any work. I did some modeling way back when it first came out. I'm trying to remember what Autodesk's product was called.
A flat sketch with all the dimensions is all they need, because you can import that into their CAD program and it'll do the bends and everything right in the CAD for you.
Yeah, the guy at my metal shop, I give him my old-fashioned drawings, and he has a full 3D model up in that same afternoon. It's nothing for him.
Yeah,
people who are good at it are good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in oh gee, I don't remember when I lived in Tucson, I was designing some little brackets for robots, and I went to a local. It was just a little tiny shop. I mean, wasn't much bigger. Not even as big as like a 7-Eleven. I mean, it was just a tiny little machine shop, but he had a 5,000 watt laser cutter in there and a water jet cutter to make parts. And he was saying, yeah, he mostly cuts aluminum for the aircraft industry, Davis Monthan Air Force Base, stuff like that. But I mean, I was blown away. A little tiny shop, and it was big giant machines for cutting and bending,
Yeah.
and it was cheap too. He worked cheap. He was the guy that first got me started with SolidWorks because he took my design. I did my design, and it was an online CAD program I got for free, and I did it in there. He looked at the design and just resketched the whole thing in a couple seconds in SolidWorks. And so then I asked him, show me how to do that, because I knew I could get SolidWorks for $100 license a year. So he gave me a couple quick lessons in that, and then I got SolidWorks. Nowadays it's $50 a year.
Oh, cool.
Maybe when I retire, I'll do that.
It's fun. Because you don't just do like electronic stuff or mechanical stuff. You can do designs for regular art projects, and
Mm.
the only thing
Wasn't
it
there?
doesn't the only thing it
Okay.
doesn't do is circuit boards.
Yeah. Didn't Google have a product like SketchUp or something? That was I might be aging myself, but it was something they had, didn't
Google
they?
Sketch.
So maybe
SketchUp.
that's it. SketchUp, I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, my
SketchUp was right. Yeah.
architect's son could do all sorts of things in Google Sketch.
Yeah. So
I don't remember the
so
details, but
Well,
yeah,
there's
he could make anything happen in that. Yeah, it was crazy.
there used to be a free version of Corel Draw you could
yeah.
use for doing stuff too. But there's probably 1,000 different 2D and 3D CAD programs on the internet nowadays.
And AutoCAD has tried to buy up all of them
Yeah.
and charge you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I got the good old days where I bought it and I own it, and I have muscle memory
Yeah.
for good old fashioned AutoCAD. I like muscle
Which,
memory because my real memory doesn't work anymore.
which version, Mike?
I'd have to pull it up.
Release 11 or earlier?
I don't remember. In fact, I don't think I
I,
have it on this particular machine I'm on right now.
in
If I did.
1985, I started working for a company that designed high-res graphics cards for PCs, and this was back before VGA, even when EGA was the highest resolution there was.
yeah.
We were designing 1024 by 768 graphics cards, and really the only market for it was AutoCAD at the time. And this was, late 80s when AutoCAD was just getting kicked off. But at that time, these graphics cards cost $2,000 each, and then a monitor cost another $2,000. So it
I'm
was.
running 2004, whatever our version that ends up being.
Okay.
12?
Might have been somewhere around. Let's see. Release 11, I think, was back around 95 or so. So it's probably something newer than that.
Back in the 80s, a friend of mine in Sweden, he designed the roof things for the moon roofs on Mercedes. He was making $80,000 a year doing that. All he did was draw these slightly curved panels to put on the roof of a car, for the sunroof or whatever you call it. He called them moon roofs.
Yeah.
But he was using CATIA, which is the more advanced version of SolidWorks.
So 2004 is release 18.
Release 18,
Ooh.
okay.
12 was way back in 92.
Okay. Yeah, that was even earlier than I thought. That was about the time. I think I left the graphics company in 95. I spent 10 years designing graphics cards.
I did all my schematics in AutoCAD too, which is terribly inefficient, but
Oh, yeah. No, the AutoCAD was terrible for schematics.
well, that's because it doesn't know anything about what you're doing compared to a schematic program.
Right. Yeah.
You're doing your own routing and everything then.
A friend
Well,
back in Virginia.
I had an old circuit board program, like I think I told you guys last week. Most of my designs, I lay the circuit board out and then go create a schematic. So yeah, I would go back and then document it, so to speak, in AutoCAD by making a schematic when I was all done.
Okay.
But my brain doesn't work well enough to do that anymore either.
A friend of
But it
mine
made
back
laying boards out a lot easier.
a friend of mine back in DC was using AutoCAD to make shall we say small, very tiny projects for unnamed government agencies. And he used AutoCAD back on S100.
Wow.
Oh,
He had
that's
the
cool.
what was the graphics boards, the 3 board set.
Hercules
I've
after
got
that?
one of the boards. I don't remember the name of it though. Shoot.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. I don't know the name either. But yeah, 3 different color planes.
Yeah, I know in the mid 80s you had to have the big tablet for type or for and pen to work it all.
Yep.
I had one of those for an Apple II. They had one, and I used it for sketching out things like the roof of the house, and then it would calculate, how many square feet for these, for doing re-roofing and things like that. It was kind of a cool device, the graphics tablets with a little pen. That was kind of a neat thing.
Was the brand Wacom or on those or something like that for those different types of tablets? I've actually seen large tablets recently at some of the thrift stores. I'm looking at that. I have no need for them, but they come with a pen and they're like old graphics thing.
Yeah.
I keep thinking Wacom, but I could be thinking I might be learning the wrong
Wacom
name.
was the whatchamacallit, the tablet. I mean
Yeah,
not tablet, but
Yeah.
the
There's
drawing.
another.
It's a
the
drawing thing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah, that was
think
one I used. It was about 14 inches by 14 inches. Did all my
Yeah.
schematic work back, in the late 80s, and using I think it was RGraph as a schematic capture package.
Yeah.
It was pretty crude.
yeah,
I need to
micro
do
I
another
think
board before I forget how to use KiCad. I've done 2 boards in it, got up to speed, and now it's been 9 months. I'm gonna
Yeah, watch
forget it
out!
by the time I need it again.
Watch out! They come out with another version or something to mess you up.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I had to upgrade versions once, and they don't make it smooth to bring in all your
No.
libraries and everything that you created on your own. So this
Yeah.
time I wrote it all down, well, typed it all in, so that the next
Yeah,
time I won't have to be scratching my head. Where'd all my stuff go? Why didn't it import my old drawings, my old libraries?
they've
So yeah,
gotten better in the
It
recent years.
it
The
has.
last year or two, all that library stuff has gotten better. It's easier to
Yeah.
create parts now than it was. I remember in like 4 or 5 when I used that, it was just, I got to make a part, and I don't know if I want to make a part.
yeah.
I,
Maybe I can find something
But it's
close.
it's still no fun. That's why you definitely want to bring your libraries
yeah.
forward.
Well, I don't know. It's gotten so much easier. The only thing I've had a problem with is I have a bunch of these TO3 um, regulators switching, and they have a circular pinout with a pin or two missing. And KiCad will let you draw that thing out and a circle with all the pins, and everything's right, but it doesn't take it. It won't let you take one pin out.
Huh.
It's kind of funny how it's made. Uh, but it's able to you can draw circular patterns and all kinds of things for pinouts in the latest revs.
You don't
So
just draw the
better.
individual pins?
The thing is, you have to make sure that you get the pins exactly right. Otherwise, you can't get them to go through the board.
Yeah.
So, I can
Yeah, you
specify the
create a
diameter and
pad
everything.
stack. Yeah, that
Easy EDA, I just draw the outline thing, drew, like for a DIN plug, then you draw the little square hole for the keyhole, and then you just do little circles for each of the pins, and you just
Interesting.
specify it goes through the board, or if it's just a pad, whatever.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's just having it calculate where all the pins go when you tell it,
Yeah.
I need a circle that is, so many millimeters in diameter and it's got 11 pins. and
Okay, yeah,
it'll draw an 11 pin setup, but it won't draw an 11 pin setup with only 10 of the pins.
the way I do it is I just draw each individual pin. I don't do the automatic stuff. So I just, and then I just say this pin is this many mils lift and, XY
Yeah, you
position.
can do it that way too if you figure them out.
Yeah. I know, I think there was a few projects. It might have been one of John's projects, older version of KiCad, I believe. And when I tried to bring it to mine, or KiCad, however, when I tried to just bring it to my version, I think it was 10 or whatever I was using at the time. Yeah, it didn't come in very pretty. And I don't know, I probably did something wrong, I'm guessing, but I don't know how well they are taking the older versions and importing
Well,
the project.
from what I've read is from version 7 on up, all your parts should just automatically come okay. But before version 7, you got to manually bring them in and fix them.
Yeah, that's true. And I think a lot of Johns are what, 5s and 6s?
It might have been. It might have been an old board that I wanted to bring in, and until I realized that Todd Goodman, I believe it is, sells most of them, and he's actually located near me, so that works out well.
Oh shoot! So KiCad's up to 10 now because I'm in a 9, thinking I was still good.
I think it's 10. Don't quote me. You'd have to check. I thought it was 10 that I loaded.
10.02. No, I'm looking. Yeah,
It's the latest release.
7 was where I started when they said that it was going to bring in old parts and that, but 10 was the latest release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just kind of feel bad about all the schematics that John has, because everything he's built pretty much was done on, I think, 5s and 6s, and I don't think he ever upgraded. I think he's still drawing on 6 or something. So no hope in just importing his drawings.
What? One thing though, if you get his old stuff, you can import it on Easy EDA, and Easy EDA will bring in the part files for those old parts, so you can capture those footprints and symbols.
Interesting.
And then migrate them back over to KiCad.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Easy EDA, it doesn't care. It'll import pretty much whatever you want from I don't know how many different. I mean, the import list is like a mile long. It's all kinds of stuff.
I need to go add that to my to-do list. I don't want to get more than a version behind for this very reason. Now I actually have real projects for work on KiCad, so I gotta find the time to go do that. Spring is not the time. Maybe a fall project. Now that's getting pretty late. 10 should be very stable by the fall.
That's what you said last year.
I did go 8 to 9, but yeah, none of the libraries come over. You have to move them. I wish it would take care of that for you one day.
Well, what I found to do is I have a drive where I keep software, and on it has got a KiCad directory, and I put everything in there. And then whenever I upgrade, if it doesn't pull stuff in, then I can go in and just specify use these folders, and it will start then using the folders. You'll see the folders just appear in your pull downs.
Right.
And that works pretty good. And I just what I try to do is anything I make, I'll put over in that on the software drive in the KiCad directory, and just keep putting stuff over there. And I don't put anything on my C drive or my root drive or anything. I just keep everything over on another one. I just keep adding to it, and I keep pointing KiCad at it. And that seems to work. If you install KiCad, it'll make a new directory, and it'll put its files in there and so on. But you're starting from scratch again.
Yeah, what I've been doing is writing down the procedure to then move, essentially like what you talk about. I have all of my folders in my spot, and then those I can just drag to where KiCad expects them in the new version. Similar to what you're doing, but you're actually pointing to where they already were, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to have
But
to
a lot of
move.
them, it wants to remake them or resave them its own way, I've noticed. Oh, I'll figure out when I get to 10 again.
Yeah,
We'll
I don't
see if
make
my
enough either,
procedure
honestly.
works that I wrote
I
down.
Yeah, I used to use Eagle, and I used to use um, Multiboard, that package. And, it's just, you get a little bit used to using it, but you don't use it very often. You have to come back and read the docs again. How was that again? And then eventually I'd switch from one CAD package to the next CAD package and sort of repeat the same thing. Do a couple of drawings, then a year later I'll do a couple of drawings.
Yeah, that's my problem is I forget during that year.
Yeah, I've decided that I'll stick with TCAD and just kind of go with that. I'm not going to try another CAD package for EDA. It's just I can't deal with switching the packages constantly. I got to
Yeah.
learn something, have some muscle memory for it.
Yeah, well, Easy EDA is a little bit different than KiCad, but like when you're designing a part and saving
Mhm.
it, it's a little bit simpler. Not much, but a little bit simpler.
Yeah.
But the
Well, I
frequent
have project ideas. I just need time to go do them, but that would fresh my memory up again.
yeah, the only thing I don't like about these is why can't I take a like a JPEG or a DXF
Oh,
file and then have the CAD program look at it and say, okay, here's your board. You know,
It's called AI.
yeah.
well, yeah, but KiCad, by now, KiCad and both Easy EDA should be able to do that.
You'd think. Yeah, I'm
So
waiting for
what are they what JPEG are they looking at? Is it an already existing board and you just want to duplicate it?
Yeah, yeah, if you got a nice JPEG file of a board, that shows all the traces and stuff, just load
If
it
it's
in and
small,
say, here's my board.
but if it's multi-layer, you'll never know about a trace. I mean, I know
Well, yeah,
most S100s aren't, but okay.
but you can have the front and back things. The program should be able to put that together and make you a
That
board. I mean,
that's
yeah,
two
I'm
layers,
not
but if
talking about,
there's
yeah, well, we don't use 8-layer boards here. We're doing
no,
1 and 2-layer boards.
okay.
Yeah,
Some
Well,
people are
then,
doing 4-layer boards.
right,
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going
yeah,
towards,
but
but yeah.
most hobbyists stick with 1 or 2-layer boards. That's the majority of hobby stuff.
they're
or
going to
or if
automate
you're
away the
copying
hobby.
an old board that somebody made in the 70s or 80s for S100, probably going to be two-layer.
Yeah. Yeah, it would work fine for something like that. Absolutely. You would get it front and back.
Yeah,
Yeah, capturing
when
ports.
you get into 3, 4, 8-layer boards or more, that's professional work. That's not hobby stuff.
Yeah.
Well, one of the boards I want to do now is going to upset Patrick, though.
Uh,
How the I was just laying around thinking the other day, it would be easy to make a universal serial I/O board
Oh,
using,
Oh, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
just go ahead
yeah.
and use my specs then, because I already went through this about 2.5 years
Oh,
ago.
did you?
Yeah, nobody seemed to be interested in a universal serial board. I had thought it'd be great for us that are using older software and older hardware. You pick up you've got yourself one vendor's board. It's got AY 1013s on it or something.
Yeah.
But your software that you found for it is running a 6850 or something. So, why not build a configurable board? And I figured out how to do it with picks that
Yeah,
have
that's what I would do. Yeah.
configurable. And so the interface, on one side that the software talks to, it talks to a set of registers that looks like a 6850. And on the other side, you've got a RS-232 coming out the back. And all you do is you translate where things should be in the registers. I've already got a full spec and everything. I keep thinking about rebuilding this, but I can't seem to find anybody who's even interested in using it.
Yeah,
It's
John?
I would
send
to
all
me
do
that
it
like
to
like that with
Patrick.
yeah, you have a 20 pin PIC processor on there. You
yeah,
could have probably 4 registers to handle most anything in both directions.
Yeah.
Those registers would all talk with the PIC with SPI, so that the PIC can be a small thing. It doesn't have to be a big surface mount part or anything. It can just be a nice 20-pin chip, which not truly vintage looking, but not bad.
Yeah.
You could address that board anywhere. The ports could be independent of each other.
Yes.
And one of those ports is just dedicated as your config port too. So like you just have a dip switch on the board that if it's in config mode, the serial port's just a menu and you can say, look like a 6850, look like a AY blah, 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 look, or even more generic. You say, look like a 2SIO board, look like a SIO board, or you can actually pick a part and define the register down to that level if you wanted.
Yeah. That's
It's just
basically
a 2-port board that can look like an SIO from MITS or an SIO2 from IMSAI or the 3B plus S or any of those serial ports so that software would just work.
yeah.
But
I
anyway,
thought about also on the software side defining the code in 3 pieces. So what you'd have is you're actually going to need 2 pieces, but I think 3 would work. Where you have the front end, which is a set of code of how to look like the part. Then in the center, you'd have a set of code which is just registers, and registers universally cover everything that the serial port could do. And then on the backside, you've got some code that runs the interface and the handshake lines.
I
And
was
so
wondering how far to
you
take it on the
just
newer
change
UARTs.
you change the interface between the front and the middle, and that's your new UART. The back end of the UART always works the same because it's just a UART.
Right.
And what you're doing is you're switching how the registers look, how they react on the front end. So you could generate any UART in existence could be something like that. Now the configuration, I thought you could put a jumper in, and now whenever you talk in through the RS-232 from the outside from your terminal, if you put a jumper in or hit a custom keystroke set, it would give you a little list. Do you want
That's
to
your menu for configuring it.
this? You pick the UART you want, and you pick the address that you want it to be at, and then you remove the jumper, and you can reboot or something, and now you've got this thing booting up as a 6850.
Right. Exactly.
So, but
That'd be a
doing
neat
the
project.
terminal.
Did you ever think about how far you'd want to do it for the newer UARTs? Like, I forget the ones that you have to program that can even do baud rate. Or, like what is it, the 8250 that you got to do like 5 or 6 instructions to make sure it's initialized right?
Yeah.
Some of them also have very quirky behavior, like the 8250, whichever the Intel one, I can't remember which one it is. You cannot use interrupts and keep that thing fed unless you stuff 2 characters to begin with. I ran into this getting it to work on a SOL 20 as a second port, not a SOL 20, a Poly 88, which is all interrupt driven for its monitor. You have to stuff 2 characters and get the whole. I think the reason is because it only gives you an interrupt when the shift register is empty, not when the holding register is empty.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have little quirks like that if you truly, and for example, the way the 6850 handles DCD is kind of unusual. So you would have to have some pretty specific code in the middle, sort of like a compiler. You can have your parser generator and the code generator. All these things can be fairly generic, but the optimization part for the particular chip that's the destination of your compiler ends up being pretty specific and can get hairy. And I think you'd have that part in the middle to handle the real oddball specifics of some of the chips. Even the 6850, when it powers up, do you want to emulate the fact that it probably isn't going to work until you do a reset? And it may actually power up in the spacing state instead of the marking space. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that. But
Yeah,
you
it
take
does.
2SIO, sometimes it powers up in a spacing state instead of a marking state.
Yeah, but then whenever you do something like this universal board, you can eliminate a lot of those problems.
Well, yeah, but then is that right? Or do you have the option to leave it original or bypass it?
Yeah. I guess it depends on whether you have code specifically written to take care of the problem in the UART or whether you just have code that's expecting a particular generic UART.
Right. Well, so requiring a
8250,
reset is not necessarily a problem on a 6850, right? So I would say if you made this, you would make it where it didn't work until you reset it with the, writing 3 to control register,
Yeah, to do
just like a
something.
real one.
Yeah,
Whereas if
so
you use
I
like
can really
if we use a yeah,
get an
I just
echo.
drawing a blank, solid state music IO4 board or one of these others that you strap to look like an SIO to SIO.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't do the interrupts right, and it works right off the bat without having been initialized. But frankly, it doesn't care if you initialize it because it doesn't do anything. So you're perfectly fine with all your software. You don't know the difference anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, how far do you go with it? But
Yeah, I just thought it'd be a good thing to have because you would be able to have different kinds of UARTs. And if you weren't able to tweak your software, go back in and to some particular application because you don't have source code, for example, and it's expecting one type of UART you
yeah,
don't have,
that'd be
rather
great.
than having a whole bunch of boards to try to get the right board to actually work.
Well, yeah, even if you have the boards, like I have the boards, but it's in that computer over there. I have to take it out to put it into this computer to use it.
Yeah.
Or this famous, well, it worked last time I used it. Now it's worked. So now I've got another step. I gotta get the board working. Or
Yeah.
somebody says, "Hey, I want PC to flop to work on this IMSAI tarbell, and my serial board in my IMSAI is the serial port on your what was that board you just got? The SD Systems SBC 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it do that. And, that would be I want to be able to run that here. Well, boom, I've got that serial port emulated. It was an 8251 or 8250, whatever's on that. Yeah, it come in very handy in a lot of situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll revisit this again. It's just been a long time, and it didn't seem like anyone was really interested in it. You
Well,
could
I've talked
always
about it numerous times,
go get
but
more, right?
I didn't want to put a big surface mount pick on like I have on my floppy disk controller. I can write to registers from S100 and it can pick them up and 8 bits just comes right in.
Yeah.
But then I figured out for any speed of your typical 2 or 4 megahertz system, I can write a shift register and read that in a pick fast enough to have a new status update in time for any sequence of, the worst case would be you write it in an 8080 assembly and then read the register right back, right? So you have to be able to turn it around that quick in the pick. And you can do it with just SPI and a shift register. So that way you can use a nice small part because your registers only take up, one more SPI on one more
Yeah.
select bit in your SPI bus. So
Yeah. One thing I'd also thought about doing was PIC had a series of processors that had the parallel.
yeah, I have that on my FDC Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, which was kind of neat, when you think about it. If you're trying to make slave processors or make slave uh, components, if you're trying to emulate something, if it's got a parallel interface, then it looks like any other parallel chip. So you could talk to it directly from the S100 bus, in 8-bit, and it just went right straight in, and you could you just have
Yeah,
a
but that's
couple
only
address lines and pick something. But then it looks like they're starting to thin those out, and they're getting harder and harder to find.
like the FTC Plus has one of those, and it can address 4 registers on it.
Yeah.
They can be a FIFO or you can be so I have them addressed as 4 registers. But who's to say the serial board has those 4 all in a row? For example, you want an SIO at 0 and 1 and at 6 and 7. That'd be the ideal combo on a single board. Well, I'm sure Patrick is doing that, right? So it's the enhanced something parallel port, EMCP or something like that. But
Yeah.
so that's when I realized, I'm not going to get that on any individual pick I found. You'd have to somehow route them all through one port with external logic anyway. And that's when I realized, well, heck, I could just have a parallel in serial out TTL part. I forget the part number. I have those on my front panel board. And just shuffle it out at 4 megahertz or 8 megahertz, I'll have the value in 2 microseconds, and I can turn around and answer in 2 microseconds, which is as fast as you can turn around and write something and read it back on an 8080 anyway. Or some of the 18 series chips can go even faster. So
yeah, a lot of options.
Fun project. If I was retired.
Hey, it doesn't necessarily get easier when you get retired. I'm retired, and there's so many other projects, you get yourself wrapped around, and then other hobbies that are time consuming.
Yeah.
It's if you only had one hobby and you retired, you could probably have all the time in the world to develop stuff.
Yeah, but who has only one hobby?
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Way too many toys and things to play with.
Yeah.
But anyway, don't stop working on your board, Patrick.
Okay. It's actually getting pretty close.
Cool.
Yeah, because the other thing I want to do is that basically the FD360 3712 parallel interface concept as a disk controller, so that anything with a parallel interface can run all this software. You can add a disk to anything with a parallel interface, like your 6800 trainers or your RCA 1802s or anything, which is how ICOM did it with the FD360 in the day. All you needed was a parallel interface because the complex disk controller was inside the disk drives. So just making that little board allow you to add disk drives to most anything. I think that'd be a fun project. Not that many people would use it, but it'd be a fun project.
Yeah, I ended up needing a 5 1/4-inch drive that ran off USB. Because the newer computers, there's no interface anymore. 3.5 and 5 1/4. Even some of the newer computers, you can do one 3.5-inch drive, maybe on some of the newer ones. They don't have BIOS for anything else. So I bought one of these little boards that I have in a cabinet with a 5 1/4-inch TIAC drive. And I actually needed to copy a bunch of disks, and I was able to plug it into my Linux machine and run a little USB app that is easy to compile in there. And I was I could read Apple and
I'd be interested in learning more about that because I didn't think you could do the USB to 5 1/4. I've seen people like YouTube videos, but they never really seem successful.
Yeah. Well,
I'd be interested in which little adapter you bought and stuff.
I got to run, guys. Time to call my mom for my weekly visit.
Okay,
See you
Mike.
later, Mike.
We'll check in next
Take
week.
care, Mike.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So I ended up getting a couple of different things.
Yeah.
One is this particular, it's a laptop drive, and it has a USB on the side, which is kind of cool. So I can plug a USB in here, and I've got a 3.5 disk drive that I can put into modern computers. And then the other one is this thing that I put inside of a cabinet here. And it's a 5 1/4-inch 1.2 meg, and it'll read. And then it has a little board at the back. I'm trying to think of who makes it. I can look it up in a second, but it then gives you, a USB out the back.
Yeah.
And it's got set up. It has a couple of graphical interfaces for Mac, Windows, and for Linux. And it will let you. It doesn't write, but it reads, which to me, being able to back up stuff is, really important. So it reads all kinds of drive types, and now they're still selling them.
Yeah. I think I've seen the readable ones. I was hoping for the read write because I did want to be able to write to some of the 5 1/4-inch at some point.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find a write that's USB based.
That's been the problem.
Find the link to that board you said that goes in with that drive for the USB. Put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had good luck with the 3.5 inch. I think I have a brand. They kind of look funny. They're older. They look like Mac, like the old style Mac colors, the oranges and the blues and the greens and stuff. The ones I picked up, but they seem to work well. I've had good luck. Writing on those and reading. Um,
yeah.
uh,
Here's mine at.
yeah. There was some guy, and I say guy, but it was a YouTube video, and he took one of those boards from the 3.5 inch and messed around with it to try to get it to work with 5.25. I think he had some success. Now whether he did read and write, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. So this
Uh,
is.
yeah. Otherwise, what I have right now, if I want to write 5.25, I have an old DOS machine. I literally it's
Got it.
what do you? Oh, you found it? Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have it.
device data.
Just throw it in chat.
I'll throw it into the chat link here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know, whenever you're going to need some type of version system of
Yeah.
some sort. Um, I have always been kind of worried about not being able to have access to older drives and older
Thank
software.
you.
So I have an XP machine sitting in the rack over here that has five
Yeah.
and a quarter, 3.5 drives. And so it comes in handy, and it's got some of the reading utilities on it. And then I have two more computers down here on the floor. One is I think it's a Pentium 5, and it's set up for DOS, and it's got a Compati card, the latest, I think it's Rev 7 or something. And
Yeah.
it's got two 3.5s, two 5.25s, and it supports 8-inch. I can do 4 8-inches off it.
Oh,
And it's got every conversion utility you can name sitting on there, and it's multi-boot to different versions of DOS, which will let me use it. And then the other one is an older version, 32-bit Linux. It's Fedora, probably like 18 or something, and
yeah.
this Linux has got a whole bunch of conversion utilities. And this
Yeah.
one's
Yeah.
got 5.25 and 3.5 drives, and all these have also CD drives in them. The
Yeah.
older, CD drives. And I just kind of keep them around. I haven't powered these things up in a long time, but I keep them around for that time whenever, like for this one, I needed to copy some 5.25-inch diskettes.
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Yeah, so I have a DOS setup. Essentially, it's a backplane with an actual 486 card that drops into the backplane. I think it was much industrial type setup, and I have that. And I added so I got 5.25 and 3.5 and a CD-ROM on it. But I added something to allow me to use USB sticks, so I can actually go to my Linux system, copy onto a USB stick, and then actually stick it in. And it was able to copy. Get it onto the system, so then I could write it out to the floppy I was using IMD, Image Magic, I think it is, or Image something. I can't remember. There was seeming to be a popular one for writing out multiple images.
Image disk.
So what's an image disk? Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, I think the utility is very popular back when you could actually get drives attached.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as they started drying up, you start seeing the utilities disappear. And it's only been, I don't know, the last 3, 4, 5 years that, these converters are starting to pop up a little bit.
The grease weasel is something that seemed to be people are using, I believe, right?
Yeah, there's two variants that I think, the grease weasel, and there's another one that I think both of them come out of Germany. In fact, I think a lot of these converters seem to be coming from German vintage groups.
Yeah.
So I guess
I've got a few hundred old 5.25-inch floppies that are all full of software. It would be nice to grab it all and at least get it on the PC, because it's not going to last forever on those floppies. And it's sad when software gets lost.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to take off, guys.
Okay.
See
Terry.
you all next week. It's too bad. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about, but